watching the Vintage Vehicle Show. I'm Signe Kiesel, and today I'm in Beverly Hills, California, at the Greystone Mansion Concours d'Elegance. There are a lot of cool cars here today, so let's go take a look at some of them and talk to a few of the owners. I'm standing with Cork Hetherington, and this is his 1948 Continental Lincoln Cabriolet.
Perfect.
Tell me about the history of this car and how you acquired it.
Well, I bought it 20 years ago from a friend of mine who's a car collector, and prior to that it had been owned by a fellow that worked in the Reagan administration. And my friend from whom I bought it did a lot of restoration on it, principally mechanical. And since then I have done new carpeting, quite a lot of new leather, new tires, whatever needs to be done when it needs to be done.
So it feels like the job is never done, huh?
Well, it never is. You're in constant restoration. And last year this car took #1 senior in the Classic Car Club of America, which is a great honor for it. It was about a 97.8 winning, so it's gone about as far as it can go in my view. But it's fun to show it. It's a good runner. I've taken it to San Diego, to Pebble Beach, to Palm Springs, and it's very reliable, very good operating car.
Now tell me, what attracted you to this car in the first place?
Well, I've always loved Lincolns, particularly the early 40s, and I knew that the previous owner was meticulous in his restoration. So I thought, well, it's a good opportunity to buy a good car.
I love the color. What would you describe this color as?
I just call it maroon or tobacco maroon.
Is it all the original interior?
Pretty much so. It's the right color in any case. Some of it has been replaced, as I mentioned. So I'm continuing to work on it and trying to make it as good as it can be.
Tell me, what is your favorite thing about this car?
Well, I think the overdrive is absolutely the best thing you can have because it allows you to go on freeways at freeway speed. It also has automatic windows, automatic antenna, You can change the radio stations by your foot.
By your foot?
Pressing on a lever on the floorboard.
That seems like ahead of its time.
And of course it has 3 different hubcaps, which is rather unique in an automobile.
I'm standing with Andrew Riley, and this is a 1937 Delahaye. This is one of the cars in the museum that you are a curator of. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. This is one of the stars of our collection, 1937 Delahaye 135M. But these cars are more familiarly called the Geoham Roadster. Geoham Roadsters are cherished among collectors and seen as being some of the best of their kind.
What is so unique and special about this car?
It's really the coachwork. It's the styling of this car. The 135M chassis was an exceptional chassis in and of itself, 6-cylinder, 3.5 liter. But it's really the coachwork and the styling that was so radical in this car. Only 9 were produced.
Wow.
Fewer still exist, and this car's history is known since new.
Now, how does this car compare to other cars that are built around the same time?
Well, this car is a product of what's called the coach-built era. And when you talk about the coach-built era, it describes a time in which somebody would buy a rolling chassis, a chassis with frame rails, engine, axles, wheels intact, and then they would take it to their favorite coach builder, much like somebody who would go to have a custom-made suit, tailor-built suit made. And so it was an era of real luxury. And it also allowed for people to customize cars to suit their exact taste. This was very different from what a lot of Americans understand because so many of the cars produced in the United States, especially after the war, were the product of mass production.
This is the opposite of mass production.
That's right. When you look at the cars of the late 30s, this was really the swan song of the coach-built era. These were the pinnacle, the apex of that movement.
And do you know any of the work that's been done to restore it?
Well, it's been subject to a comprehensive restoration, really. What's known is that this was a car that was purchased new by a Maharaja from Paris. This is a car that was built by the coach builders Fagoni and Falaschi, some of the most celebrated coach builders of the coach-built era, an era that preceded, really, World War II. And so this was a car that was purchased new by the Maharaja and taken to India. It has had some minor changes made to it. The headlights were changed, but all of that was changed again when Peter purchased the car in the early, I think, 2002.
And Peter is the owner of the Peter Mullen Museum that we're talking about, that
Yes,
you're
that's
the
right.
curator of. Could you tell me more about that?
Well, Peter Mullen is an Angelino, born and raised, grew up in South Pasadena, and has had a passion for French cars really for the last 3 decades. And this is one, albeit a notable car, of a large collection of cars that exceed 100 cars, a portion of which will be on display in a rotating basis at his museum.
Where is that museum located?
Oxnard, California.
And you are the curator of that museum?
That's true.
How do you like working there?
It's a dream job.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a dream job.
It is. The museum, beyond being just an automotive museum, is really an Art Deco museum.
Oh.
And we display the automobile as being the hub of that wheel, but featured at the museum is also furniture, glass, sculpture, all kinds of artistry from that period.
So be sure to go see it for the cars, but also for the Art Deco and all the furniture and,
Yes,
and everything
that's
that it has.
That's true.
I'm standing with Stanley Mizrahi, and this is his 1940 Ford Woody.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me a little bit about the history of this car?
Well, it came out of Tuscadero. 15 years ago, I had another Woody that we found in a Tuscadero. I brought it down. My wife used it to drive the kids and stuff around, and I sold it, and she's never forgiven me for it. And I said, well, look, I'll find you another one. Well, 15 years later, we found another one, but it was 5 minutes away from where the first one was. And it belonged to an old-timer named Dave Bewley. He used to do special woodworking projects for Walt Disney, and he did the woodwork on the Woody. I converted back from 12 volts to 6 and cleaned it up a little bit, and here she is.
So you did a lot of the
Yeah,
work
little odds and ends, but most of it was done by Dave Bewley.
And what does your wife think of it?
Oh, she loves it. She drives her grandkids around now to the baseball games and stuff with it, t-ball, stuff like that. And she loves it to death. And I'm out of the doghouse.
Tell me a little bit about the engine in this.
The engine is all original. It's a Ford flathead engine, the original engine that was with the vehicle. And all original drivetrain. It does have a Columbia 2-speed rear end. And it runs like a sewing machine.
And is the interior the original?
That's the original style. It was done by LeBaron Bonte. And they make the kits for a lot of the older cars.
I'm with Bob and Ruth Lavinia, and this is their beautiful 1955 Mercedes Benz. Bob, what can you tell me about the history of this car? And
Well, you started off, it's a 1955 Mercedes Gullwing, and you can see that the doors, open this way, which gives it its distinct look. This car was restored in 1999 in Vancouver, actually with a sister car, a coupe. Very unique color. Diamond blue. There's only a handful of these colors in the world, certainly not an original color. But this friend of ours that did this, and it was a commitment to love, he got done with it, and at that point in time, he decided he wanted to thin out his fleet, so we had the opportunity to buy it, and negotiated the deal sight unseen in Sedona, Arizona, which was one of the best deals I ever did, by the way.
He was a little worried.
And anyway, so yeah, we've had it, and it's just a great car. It's just an absolutely wonderful car.
what's your favorite thing about this car? Is it the doors?
Well, the doors, for sure, and I like the bug eyes in the front. I just love the look of the car. But the most favorite thing, we can drive together, and it's comfortable. It's just a great car to drive in. It can sprint, so we've got it up to some interesting speeds. But you can go forever in it, and it's comfortable, and it's just a great car. And you notice the luggage in the back, which contours.
It's beautiful.
So,
I would love that luggage.
By the way, fits all our stuff, and I
luggage.
get, a handkerchief in the trunk, so.
Oh my gosh. And this is an actual car that, you don't just take to car shows. You actually, you use it.
No, we drive it.
We drive it.
Yeah, we drive this. We've driven this.
He drives it.
I drive it, yeah.
Now tell me, how is it getting in and out, especially if you are wearing a skirt? Because I did step in it, but it wasn't easy for me, and I'm wearing pants.
Kinky.
Well, as you can see, it's a little difficult getting in and out. However, wearing a skirt is the worst, but you get a lot of attention. And a lot of people want to come around and help you get in and out of the car and you have your skirt on.
There is a proper way
Yeah,
to get in and out. So,
yes, but you learn quickly.
Right. You have to learn. There's a learning curve with it, I
we'll have to
imagine.
be a lot younger.
Yeah.
I'm with Robert, Michael, and Gary, and this is Michael's 1931 Rolls-Royce. Michael, would you tell me a little bit about the history of this car?
Yeah, sure. First, it's a 1931 Rolls Phantom 2 drop-head coupe. It's got a 27-liter, 1,100 horsepower Merlin 1 aircraft engine. It's the only one ever built of its kind. Very rare, simply because it has a 12-cylinder aircraft engine in it. And the car built in 1931 had a much smaller engine, of course, but it was actually, this engine was actually in a Spitfire in the Battle of Britain. And the aircraft, it was taken out of the aircraft and then later on professionally put together in England to Rolls-Royce specifications.
And why would you want to put an aircraft engine in a car? What's the purpose of that?
Bigger's better.
Biggest gorilla on the block.
The biggest grill on the block. That's right. That's right. And this is the guy that sold it to me here.
Yeah.
David Gooding.
This is David Gooding, the famous David Gooding.
The car came with a
This
1
is
second
David
warranty.
Gooding right here, Gooding and Company. Hi.
David Gooding. Yeah, that's right. We had a 1 second warranty.
Yes.
And he said, okay, you can go pick it up now.
David, he even actually paid for the gas, and Michael drove it all the way off the lot back home. And I can't believe that David gave him $5,000 because that's what this thing uses in gas. But
That was just for the
Just for
fuel.
the one time, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was delighted to see Michael buy the car because what a wonderful car. I mean, it's spectacular. The engine, the history, the way it's done, it's a one-of-a-kind car. So I'm delighted it went to somebody who really appreciates it.
when we bought the car, it was most people don't do this, but he does an archaeological dig on every car that explains in detail what you're looking at.
Now, Gary, what is your experience? How do you know so much about this?
I remember Nick Harley was the original gentleman that designed and put this together a long time ago, and it was well done, but it is now beyond belief. It really is the gorilla on the block. In the game of Can You Top This, Michael? You win.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. I feel like Elvis.
I felt very good. I was able to tell Michael a little something about the car that he didn't know before, but he already stole my thunder on it. But this engine is not just a Merlin engine. It was in a Spitfire, and it was in the Battle of Britain. And that's very significant, and that's evidenced by, I want to show you one little thing here.
Okay.
If you open the door, you'll see the aircraft, and that is the salute to the history of this
Wow.
great car and this great engine, and that's the aircraft on that. It's
Very cool.
It absolutely, because I'm a kind of a Rolls guy, Bentley guy, and this is really fantastic. It looks correct, except that it's a very unusual manifold. But other than that,
Yeah.
you got a sleeper.
So, Michael, you're the one responsible for doing the final upgrade and all the work on it?
No, actually, a lot of it was done, but we're working on detailing the rest of the car out and making it even more spectacular.
Yeah, I have one comment. I mean, as you were commenting on the significance of the historical value, and you open the door and you show that, that was wonderful because Mike looked over at David Gooding and said, you could have got more money for this.
Screwed up again, but
Yeah, yeah. Less money on the table. Oh, well.
You don't pay consultants.
I go to the Gooding auctions because they have free cocktails. After about number 8, I'm ready to buy anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you guys so much. It is a beautiful, truly unique vehicle. That's it from the Greystone Mansion in Beverly Hills. I'm Signe Kiesel, and we'll see you next time.